Okay, I can start.
Yeah.
Okay. A very good evening to everyone. I am Nahan. Today, I and my partner Rajvin, will be talking on a special topic, yeah, which is called missing habits. We have we always hear about habits, but we never realize there are missing habits. Yeah, and what I'm going to share today is basically what I've written in my first ebook in 2020, yeah, which is titled The Missing Habits. It's powerful thought, yeah, to successful life. Okay, when we say about habits, yeah, we must understand, okay, if habits shape our behavior, what is habit? No, all of us know habit, yeah? But what is the definition of habit? To many people, habit is of least attended or least concern because they feel it is what a person is and it is inborn. We always feel habit is inborn, it cannot be changed. Okay, this is actually a myth. It is not a true fact. As much as habit is what we are, it is to be seriously looked at. Okay, we must seriously look at the habits if we want to change our life path. Okay, it is also our first nature. Habit is our first nature. Sorry, it is not our first nature. It is our second nature that can be learned or unlearned. Okay, so that is what definition of habit. Now, in the words of Dr. Stephen R. Covey, okay, habit is an action that is repeatedly done and which produces the results that we want until it goes into our subconscious mind. Okay, so whatever we do day in, day out, okay, a little constantly do until it goes into a subconscious mind, that is when we call it a habit. Okay, most of us find it difficult to change our habits. I think it's basically true. Yeah, basically what we all perceive. Yeah, it is very difficult to change our habits. We often hold on to the myth and we blame the genetics, the upbringing, and the social environment that shapes our behaviors. Okay, as much as we need to learn the good habits, we also need to unlearn the bad habits. Because, as I said, habit is not the first nature. First nature is our physical look, our appearance. We cannot change. Once I am like this, if this is Nahan, this is Nahan. I cannot change unless I go for cosmetic surgery. Yeah. The habit is our second nature. So second nature can be learned, can be unlearned. Okay. So in this book, which is basically based on my first ebook that I wrote in 2020, okay, I'm going to share with you the missing habits that people often fail to practice. Okay, very often, very seldom we hear about people talking about missing habits. Yeah, uh, and I'm very glad that I've written this book. Okay, it is based on my findings and readings. Yeah, I read a lot, and finally I came up with this structure. I mean, with this title of missing habits. So when people hear missing habits, they're very curious to know, hey, what are the missing habits in me? You know, as opposed to I say, oh, typically these are the habits of successful people. These are the habits of ineffective people. Those are all common things. But when it comes to missing habits, I'm sure that a lot of viewers, those who are watching today, will be uh, impatiently waiting to hear more about what are the missing habits in me. Yeah. Okay. Missing habits can be divided into three categories. That is in parenting, in teens, and working adults. Okay. In all these three segments, there are so many habits that we fail to use. So, what are the missing habits in parenting? No, we all know when babies are born, parental care is of utmost importance. The responsibility of parents increases as the child grows. Okay? As much as the parents are duty bound to care, to protect, to nurture, and guide as the child grows, very often parents are so busy with so many things in their life, okay, in so many chores, including being a breadwinner to the family. This lead to many parents neglecting the parental care in upbringing the child. They expect the child to learn from when he goes to school. Okay? They fail to realize that good behaviors always starts from the home, not elsewhere. The first place where the child gets good behaviors is always from the parents, not elsewhere. So if parents think, no, let the child, as when the child goes to school, the child will learn. That is a wrong perception. Okay, we should not put the responsibilities to a third party because they are our child. It is our responsibility in upbringing a child. Okay, so let us look at some of these habits which parents often neglects. Okay, the first one is parents must avoid the habit of authoritativeness. No? What is authoritativeness? I demand you, I order you. No? Parents often get into the habit of being authoritative when dealing with children. The intention is good. They want to upbring the child with good behaviors, good moral. Yeah. So they expect the child to meet their expectations. Parents perceive that the child is still too young, okay, to know a lot of things, and they need to be told, they need to be ordered. This leads to the child being brought up doing things that they are told to do. If they are not told, they won't do it because the way the parents bring up with authoritative, yeah, a habit of with the habit of authoritative, they expect the child to do what they want. They want the child to follow their footsteps. Okay. So what happens is they are brought up to follow orders. They lose the ability to think before doing. Children of this nature who are always brought up with an authoritative habits by parents, they are often doers. They just do what they are told. Okay. They do not think, why must I do this? What happens if I don't do? What happens if I do? Yeah. So they do not know the pros and the cons, and they are doing it unwillingly because they are being told to do so. As a result of this, the child inculcates what has been instructed with no ability to use their conscious mind. Okay. It doesn't fall as a habit in their conscious mind. Okay. The second one is parents very often neglect the habit of appreciating. Very often parents take it for granted. Every time the child completes a task, he should be appreciated. Children like to be praised in front of others. Yeah. By talking to them in a tactful manner, the child can be motivated to do more things that the parent asks. And they do it willingly. Why? Because they know when they do it, the parents appreciate it. Yeah. A pat on the shoulder and a small, okay, hug makes a lot of difference to the child. Oh, you can say, thank you, dear, or a kiss on the cheek. Even when the child does wrong, parents should not discourage, but give advice lovingly. You know, even if the child were to do wrong, do not penalize them. Okay, do not discourage, but give them advice in a loving manner. Then the child will be more closer to the parents. Okay, the third one is parents should avoid the habit of complaining. Very often we see parents complaining to others about their children. Oh, my child is like this. Oh, he has done this. She has done this. So parents should never complain to others regarding the children. Children tend to become sensitive and rebellious when they feel parents often complain. They become very insecure. When you start complaining, the child becomes very insecure. At the end, they tend to hide the misdeed to avoid being caught. This is what happens in many places. Okay. When the parents keep complaining, the child tends to hide the misdeed to avoid being caught. This is actually very crazy, right? As a child grows, he is likely to inherit the bluffology. You know what is bluffology? The child will tend to bluff very often in order to escape from being victimized. Okay? The fourth one is what is missing in the parents' habit on with the parents are they often tend to compare. So parents should not have the habit of comparing because every child has his own strength and weakness. Okay. And very often we see parents comparing one child to another, even among the brothers and sisters. The parents, oh, that this child is brighter than the second child, and so forth. There are so many other comparing. Every child is born equally, actually. Yeah. The minute we start comparing, the child becomes insecure. The feeling of inferiority sets in their mind. Okay. And this will result in the child keeping aloof. Because if I know my parent always compare me with my brother or with my sister, and I become very insecure. So at the end of the day, I will tend to keep aloof. This is what happens. Okay. And they tend to keep away from others. Not only they avoid a parent, they also try to avoid others. Okay. And they avoid mixing with other kids. Okay. The next missing habit in parents are okay, they often they do not instill the habit of inculcating good values and good moral. When the child is small, he must be inculcated with good manners and moral. What we see very often is, as parents, we do not we do not feel the necessity to correct the child when he makes improper statement about others, including elders. Okay. Instead, what we do is, as parents, we just laugh it out. And sometimes we even tend to encourage the child and say, wow, you are so clever. You can talk so much at this age. You know, sometimes we feel proud that the child could talk as so much. We fail to realize that if a child is not corrected immediately, then it will eventually become a habit as the child grows. Yeah. Why? Because as parents, we fail to inculcate, we fail to correct them. Yeah. Rather, instead, we we what do you call? We just ignore it, or we just say, "Oh, wow, you are very good. You talk a lot." Although the child doesn't speak in a good manner, we still do not correct the child. Next one is, as parents, sometimes we do neglect to instill the habit of proactive language. Okay, the language we use plays a very important role in grooming well-mannered children. We often use incomplete or improper sentences to children. Proactive language must be taught from small, yeah, which is lacking in many parents everywhere. I wouldn't say they are wrong, but there's a culture. Yeah, there's a culture. Okay. So proactive language must be taught from small. Teach them how to say things politely and with respect. Okay. So using proactive language, the parents should never talk bad of others in front of the children. Because the minute we talk bad of others in front of the children, we are already inculcating the child to follow what we are saying. As the child grows, the child will also follow the footsteps of the parents. Okay? So they must be taught to be respectful and control their emotion. Thus, this will shape their behaviors as they grow. So it is a process. It cannot be just taught within a day or a two. No, these habits must be instilled from the time the child is small. Okay. So what I would say is, do not hesitate to say sorry to children. Sometimes as parents, we don't want to lose our face. Even when we do things that are not right, we hesitate to say the word sorry to children. Sometimes parents take it for granted. When they do anything wrong, they just ignore it, failing to realize later the child will do the same to others. Okay? So later when the child does anything wrong to others, the child will hesitate to say sorry. Why? That is the way the parents have brought them up. Next one is, as parents, sometimes we fail to instill the habit of relationship building. Okay? Parents of these days seldom have time for the children as they are too busy. No, they are the breadwinners for the family. Okay, they spend okay, they are too busy with their work. So it is the responsibility of parents to spend quality time with children. Okay? Have dinner together, take them out often during weekend, during holidays, take them on a retreat. No, play with them so that the children feel very comfortable and loving. When you watch TV with the whole family, talk about the show that you're watching. Let everyone contribute their thoughts, how they look at the TV, so so that at the end of the day, we will be able to build a good relationship. Okay, let everyone give their views. Do all this. Doing all this will eventually strengthen the family bondage. Are we all doing it? I'm sure there are many of us. We we do not really realize the importance of all this. The next one is, as a parent, how many of us talk to our children as friends? I think very seldom. Because why? As parents, we feel it is our duty to upbringing by the way I said just now, being authoritative, teach them good manner, we demand, expect them to follow what we want. So much so the child has a fear, you know, and when there are any discussion, the child cannot accept the parents as much as they accept their friends. Why? You can always see when there is a situation, the child can talk to a friend for hours. Yeah. If the parent were to ask one question, the child will reply in one word. If the same question were to be asked by the friend, the child will explain for hours. Why? Because the child knows as a friend, he is willing to listen to me. But as a parent, we are not listening to them. We are hearing to response. We are hearing to tell them. We are hearing to advise them. We are hearing to probe, to investigate, to interpret. No? So much so the child doesn't see the parents as a friend. So there is always a barrier. Talking to a friend and talking to a parent, there is a barrier. Unless they feel the love, the bondage, the relationship is very strong, then they will open up to their parents. Yeah? So for them to be loving, to increase the bondage, the child must see the parents as their first friend, not as a parent. Okay. Okay. So that is the habits of parents which many of us neglect. Next, we'll go into the missing habits in teens. You know, teens in habits, sorry, habits in teens, it will either make them or break them. When as the child emerges to reach the stage of a teenager, okay, and it is a beginning with the attainment of puberty. Teens become more mature with new ways of thinking, new way of thinking of doing things. Their body metabolism changes, priority changes, expectation changes, and the circle of friends evolve. Okay, they will have new friends coming into their life. This is a crucial period where they are exposed to so many external factors, which, if wrongly handled or misguided, could be disastrous. They could be easily swayed into uncalled habits. Yeah. Being a teenager, yeah, we must understand, yeah, being a teenager has always been a challenge. As we evolve in the ever-changing world, the challenges we go through becomes more complex and more complicated. It is a fact. Everybody would know that. Okay. Some of the challenges that are often encountered by teens, there's too much of work, you know, and I don't have enough time. How can I feel good about myself when I don't match up to the situation? Another challenge which teenagers face is, I'm not doing well in my school. If I don't get my grades up, I will never get into college. These problems cannot be denied, and they are all 100% real. No one can overturn this. Yeah, no one can overturn this. These are all facts. Whether we believe it or not, whether we realize or not, it is facts. Okay. So let us discuss some of the missing habits that teens need to have in order to overcome these challenges. First and foremost, they must have a habit of vision, okay, which is missing in many teenagers. They need to have a purpose in life. They must have that understanding, the awareness, the need. They must have a purpose in life, yeah? So, what is the ambition in life? What do they want to be, say, in about 15 years from now? Do they desire to have a great job? Do they want to have a happy family and own a big house and a big car or anything else? Yeah. Whatever the desire, it must be embedded into the mind consciously and, if possible, written down. Because if you do not write it down, you just think, keep in your mind, very soon it will just, what do you call, go blank, get lost. Yeah. So imagine the child is standing at a crossroad of his life and he has to choose the correct path to take. The path that the child takes today shall shape his life in future. If you take the correct path, you will reach your destination, which is the vision of the child. If the child takes the wrong path, he may end up elsewhere, not achieving the dream or the goal or the vision. Yeah. So this is an analogy of the crossroad. Yeah, of the crossroad. Second one is, so teenagers often lack the habit of taking responsibilities. Every kid must take responsibility for his action. He should be able to be responsible to doing things that needs to be done. So whatever he is doing, he must take responsibility. He should not wait for instruction. Okay. But if parents do not, if parents often use the authoritative style of upbringing the child will lose out here. The child will not take responsibilities. He will just do whatever the parents say. Okay. So to enhance the habit in a teenager, in a teen, okay, the child must not wait for instruction for others for the work that he should do. If he chooses not to do it, then he must also be responsible to face the consequences. He should not blame anyone else because he is doing out of his own will, out of his own responsibility, not because he is asked to do. The minute he is being asked to do, he loses control over the responsibility and he does not take charge. If anything goes wrong, he will not be responsible. Responsible goes to the person who instructed him to do the job. Third one is, very often we see teens, they do not think before they react. Okay, they work on they react spontaneously. Okay, whenever there is a provocation, their emotions supersede their ability to think. Emotions control them. But as an individual, whether it is teens or parents or working adults, okay, we must never let emotion control us. If we do not control emotion, emotion will control us. As a result of this, we become victim of the emotion. Okay? Because we are reacting out of emotion. And at that point of time, whatever we do may be correct, may not be correct. But we are just doing it because out of emotion. Okay. And we become a victim to the emotions. At this point of time, they cannot visualize the consequences. Reactive kids are often prone to getting into this kind of situation, but a proactive child does not. A proactive child, he takes responsibility of himself. He knows what he's doing. Whatever he chooses, he will be responsible and face the consequences. Okay? Very often, reactive kids will get into this habit of emotion. Okay? Next one is as a teenager, we must have the courage to say sorry. How many of us have the courage to say sorry? This is not only in teens, even in parents, even in working adults. How many of us have the courage to say sorry? Very often we take it for granted and we just ignore it. Yeah. These days, teens find it hard to say sorry because of the pride and ego that stops them from saying the word. We must understand, yeah, that saying sorry is neither downgrading oneself nor a loser. So when you say sorry, does not mean you are downgraded, does not mean you're a loser. Only courageous people. If the child has the courage, he would openly and bravely admit and says sorry. And the word sorry doesn't come from his mouth, but it comes from the heart. It's an inside out. Okay? Does this happen? We have seen many times. Children say sorry just to please the other party. Teens, they say sorry just because the parents ask them to do so, or another person asks them to say so. It does not come from, it does not come intentionally from within them. Okay. Next one is habit of integrity. Many teens lack in this. When I say integrity, it relates to hard work, trustworthy, respect, dedication, commitment. These are all part and parcel of integrity. Okay? Focusing on this will help the child in achieving the goals with less hassle. Many achievements can be made if these habits are inculcated. The habit of integrity, if it is inculcated, no, it will lead to many positive results. Hard work results in passing the exams in flying colors. Trustworthiness can be earned through being proactive and be able to have a good relationship with everyone. Only then the child will be able to earn the trustworthiness, the trustworthy from others. Okay. Respecting parents, teachers, and parents will earn high trust. If the child lacks integrity, it is very difficult for the child to earn respect, very difficult for the child to earn trustworthiness, yeah, and dedication and commitment. Okay? And at the end of the day, if they follow all this, the habit of integrity, they will be able to achieve their vision. That is, as far as the teenagers. Now we'll go to the third aspect, the missing habits of working adults. You know, so whatever I'm sharing now, if you really think, ponder over it, you will see the essence and the importance. How relevant is it? Yeah? How this would help everyone to move up the ladder of success. Let's okay now come back to habits, the missing habits in working adults. An adult spends about almost 40 years of life in the working arena. Responsibilities come with big expectations from getting employed, bringing up a family, acquiring properties and wealth, and to lead a comfortable and contented life. Life becomes very more and more complex because the market demand changes every day. Every now and then market demand changes. Okay. So these are all challenges faced by the working adults. Okay. Character plays an important role in developing high productive individuals. Okay. Character plays a high and very important role in developing a highly productive individual. The fundamentals of human capital is the behavior that produces high character. Okay. Although habits are common behaviors, they are not commonly used. Yeah. Although habits are very common behaviors, but very often or not, they are not commonly used in its best capacity, okay, in life. In the workplace, there are many missing habits that hinder effectiveness and productiveness. Okay, and productivity. Okay, let's discuss the missing habits in working adults. First and foremost is the habit of proactivity. Okay, not all individuals are proactive. We can't rule that everyone is proactive. There are many working adults who are not proactive, they are reactive. As I say, proactive is taking responsibility over yourself. Okay, taking decision, taking responsibility, and accepting the consequences, whether you do good or bad. Okay, it's also the using proactive language to respect the integrity and so forth. Okay, so very often, many working adults they become very dependent on others. They only do what is being told. That is why we see in many organizations, many people at the lower rank, they have to be micromanaged. Okay? They need to be micromanaged. Because why? First and foremost, they are not proactive. They do not take charge of themselves. They are not trustworthy. I mean, they have not earned the trustworthiness. Okay? They have not reflected the true nature of their trustworthiness at their workplace. So much so, they are they allow emotions and surroundings to control them. To be proactive, one must not be reactive. Okay, they must be responsible towards any course of action, good or bad. It is their choice, and they should accept the consequences. Okay, they must accept the consequences. Proactive is an anchor for being effective. That's the first one, habit of proactivity. The second one, habit of thinking before reacting. As what I earlier said in the teens missing habits, even working adults, the habit of thinking before reacting is missing. Very seldom we see people do not think before they react. Okay. See, God has given us 4 human endowment. Okay. In any stimulus, we must have the power to choose the right action. In any situation or stimulus, you call it, we must be able to choose the right action by choosing the right human endowment. What are the 4 human endowment? Conscious mind, okay, willpower, imagination, and self-awareness. You, as a working adult, before you do anything, before you react, if you use any of these 4 endowment, you would be able to get a better solution on what to do. Okay. This will precisely help a lot of negative effects. Okay. The third one is the habit of alignment to vision. No, many people. I'm not saying everyone. Yeah. In general. Okay. In general, in a typical organization. Okay. Working adults, they are mere employees. They do not have a vision of their own. Even now, also, you can ask anybody, do you have a vision? I'm sure most of them will say no. Yeah. Even if they have a vision, it is not crystal clear. They are still subjective. A real mission or a vision cannot be subjective. It must be direct. It must hit direct to the point. What is it you want? Example, 5 years from now, I want to acquire a house. See, you got a time frame. Yeah. You got the exact vision. That is what you call a vision. But as an employee, okay, many of us do not have a vision. Neither do we take ownership of the organization's vision. As an individual, I also do not have a vision. As an organization, I also do not buy in the organization's vision. They are mere followers without knowing the purpose of the job to be done. This is where very often they end up doing wrong things that are not in line with the vision. Okay. What will happen if you do not have this? You do things that are not according to the vision. Bosses would not be able to trust you. They cannot depend on you. Okay. Finally, these are the kind of people they have to be micromanaged. Okay. Action without vision is a wasteful thinking. Action with vision is a wishful thinking. Let me reword it. Yeah. Requote it. Action without vision. Okay. Action without vision is a wasteful thinking. It's just like a daydream. Action with vision is a wishful thinking. Okay. You got a vision and you act according to it. That is a wishful thinking. Okay. Next one is working adults lack the habit of planning. How many of us plan our daily work and our life? Okay. Most of us are caught in firefighting. As working adults, there are many working adults, they work on firefighting. Okay. They work on crisis. Everything they do is important and urgent. Why? Because they're not planning. If you plan, you can cut down your crisis task. A simple example. Okay. Simple example. Paying of bills. Paying of bills. You receive the bill. Okay. They give you a due date to pay. You choose not to pay now because I still got a long time to pay. Until the last day you don't pay. Then last day, if you don't pay, they're going to disconnect your electricity. What do you do? That is where you're caught in firefighting. You have to pay on that day, at that time, immediately. So this is only an example. There are many tasks that we are doing. We are all firefighters. Okay. So planning is very important. If you plan, you can reduce your crisis and you will work on important things and not on urgent things. If you plan, your urgent matters become important matters. And important matters can be planned and scheduled. priority. Okay, so planning is very important. Yeah, yeah. As working adults, this is where many of them lack. Okay, although there are many time management programs, but that these people, they take it for granted. They just take it for granted. They don't really realize there's no awareness to say how important is planning. And this kind of thing, the need to learn, if it comes from inside out, as working adults, they'll be able to learn it with commitment. Next one, which they lack is in working adults, is they also lack the habit of relationship building. Yeah, they lack the habit of relationship building. Having good relationship helps in teamwork. In office environment, we all work as a team. If there's no relationship, if there's no good relationship, how are we to work? Okay. So if you work as a team and you have a good relationship, it helps to accomplish your task successfully without much hindrances. Okay. It also helps in building trust because when we trust each other, we are open. We voice out openly. Others can accept it because they trust us. Yeah. Next one is habit of effective listening. This is very crucial. I think in many situations, working adults, they really need this habit of effective listening. See, we use our 2 ears to listen. Very often, people tend to listen with the intent to reply. But the essence of listening is actually to fully understand, not to reply. Okay? Research has shown that words that are listened through the ears is only 7%. So when you speak to your boss, you bring a concern to your boss, only 7% of what you are saying is heard. Okay? While listening through eyes and body, but if the boss listens to you with your eyes and he observes your body language, 93% of what you are saying would be uh, would be received by your boss. Yeah, that is why in many occasions when there's a issue, go and see the boss, knock the door, knock, knock, knock. Yes, come in. What's your problem? Okay. So we also voice out what we want to say. But as we voice what we want to say, the boss is so busy. He is a very busy man. While listening to you, he is at his work. He's doing his work. How would you feel when you are talking very seriously? Your boss he's listening. At the same time, he's also doing other job. Do you think he's paying attention? Impossible. There would not be 100%. Yeah. Uh, so you must have the habit of effective listening, even to your friends, even to your children, even to your spouse. Same thing. When you listen, you must listen effectively. Okay. Do not just listen with the intention to reply. That is where you see many circumstances where there's a communication between a child and a parent. There's always a communication gap. Why? The child cannot accept the fact that the parent is not focusing. Because he knows as a child, you go and tell your parent, before you complain, I already know what is my father going to tell me. There is no effective listening. But if there's a effective listening, you will see it very different. Okay. So it is very important to have a effective listening. Okay. As much as I've said, okay, let me conclude the whole thing. Okay. The missing habits which I have mentioned namely for parenting, for kids, and working adults. It seems to be very simple and common sense. I'm sure when you hear this, it's all common sense. Nothing special. Yeah. But although they are common sense, they are not common practice. Correct? They are not common practice. If only these can be inculcated into their daily practices, people at large will be more successful at both personal and the career life. Okay? Parents will be able to instill good character and moral in upbringing the children. Teens will be able to handle the challenge faced in the ever changing world. Okay, they would have a vision and work hard to achieve with integrity while respecting others. As working adults, what we can conclude is working adults will be able to lead a less stressful life and be highly effective and productive. They would be able to work in a team and achieve all tasks given to them. Okay, so this is what I've summarized based on my book, which is you can see in the background, okay, the missing habits. If you want the book, you can always buy it. You can always go to my bookstore, www.nahanebookstore.com. You can find the book there. Okay, it's a very powerful reading, very interesting, and very useful. Okay, so as much as I've said this, having said all this, yeah, we must understand there is a therapy. People who follow that therapy, they will be in a situation to change their lifestyle in a manner to be successful. This is where laughter yoga comes in. Okay. My partner here, Rajvin, she's an expert. She will introduce herself and let's hear from Rajvin. Rajvin?
Thank you, Mr. Nahan. Many good good evening, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, who are watching this YouTube live later on. Um, Laughter yoga is considered an additional well. Laughter yoga and a beautiful smile is considered one of the most important missing habits in daily life. Special thanks to Shabana Khan and the whole Mavin Magic team for inviting me and Nahan to speak at this platform today. Um, Now, what is missing habit? Uh, Missing habits is people are neglected. Children don't know how to laugh, and children watch too much uh too much too much TV, too much addiction. W- so my question is this: why don't people people have the decency to teach their children how to laugh, their children and teenage how to um, manage one is management of time, the other one is laughter yoga. Now let me go into that. um Management of time is comprised uh by by effective time management, and laughter yoga is a joyful therapy that uh, can coincide with the missing habits. Now, how how what are some of the steps of laughter yoga that you can incorporate in your life? One is clapping. Ho ho ha ha. Ho ho ha. Yay. The second one is breathing. Breathing is breathe in peace and breathe out laughter. Ha 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 ha. Now childlike playfulness. Very good, very good. Yay. Now um uh the the um the third one is I won't miss laughter yoga. You won't miss laughter yoga, and we all won't miss laughter yoga. We are going to make laughter yoga as a habit of our life. Ha 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 ha. Yay. So um number four is the laughter habits can uh the lion laughter can be a habit like this. You stick out your tongue and laugh. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Yay. Very good, very good. Yay. And there's so many exercise. Why I say laughter yoga mustn't be a missing habit? Because people don't know how to laugh, and people take laughter yoga for granted. You, you you know why the reason why we shouldn't take laughter yoga for granted as a missing habit? Because laughter yoga, the doctor who founded laughter yoga, Dr. Madan Kartarya, worked so hard to come up with this theory. He came up with this theory with his happy wife Madhuri in the year 1995, 30 years ago, and he developed an aerobic exercise and for beneficial for all of us. I have benefited I have benefited from it. I have benefited from it. So can you. What are the benefits? Efficiency, productivity, reduces of heart, cardiovascular disease, and being happy and being joyful. And before I end this talk, let me have a let me have a meditation. Um, Close your eyes, try to think of nothing and being. You have to be happy and be joyful and incorporate love. Incorporate laughter yoga as the missing puzzle in your life. Laughter yoga is now will be a puzzle in your life. So whenever you're ready, open your eyes and say, I will incorporate laughter yoga as the missing habit in my life, and I will make sure I will do it every day. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Yay. Another missing habit is people don't know how to write effective ebook writing. So people don't know how to write effective ebook. I have learned from Mr. Nahan, and I suggest audiences here have uh, uh, I suggest audiences here must inculcate the habit of writing ebook and inculcate the habit of uh, effective time management, writing ebook, and laughter yoga today. Ha 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 ha. Thank you for listening. Do you have any comments, Shabana and Hoi Hoi and YB Nahan. We will see you in the first week of July for our talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajvin. You covered it so well. And also, yeah, I think ebook everyone should definitely write. And we are looking forward to your ebook as well.
Yes,
Coming soon.
yes, yes. Very soon.
Yes. And thank you,
Okay.
Nan. You covered so many important habits that we often don't pay attention to those, but it's really great to, you know,
Yeah, it's true.
pointed them
Hopefully.
out in detail.
I also like to say thanks to Dr. Shabana for giving us the opportunity here because it is a wonderful session. I
Yes,
hope what I and Rajvin has shared will give some will spark off some uh, awareness into the minds of the viewers on how they are able to overcome the challenges and be successful in their life. Yeah.
yes. I think it's very important.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so,
Is there any question you want to ask?
Uh,
Yes.
yeah, so maybe how to identify the missing habits. So, some of them you have pointed out, but then
Okay.
there can be many more that we
Yeah,
miss.
actually there are a lot. There are a lot
Yeah,
because because in the short span of time, it's impossible to. In fact, all this, each of this, what I've said, it can be elaborated more and made it more clearer, so that listeners can really understand the true essence of what they are missing in life. Yeah. So it is a matter of you cannot learn this overnight. Although there is a book which I have written that will give you all the details on what should be done, what are the missing things, and if you inculcate all these things into your daily life, of course, nobody is perfect, but at least you can reduce the gap. You can be a much more happier person, stress free, and a effective individual in life. That is the key point which I'm trying to share with the viewers today.
and thank you for sharing. And thank you, Rajin, for sharing that. It's really wonderful. So, I don't think we have more questions.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
we can close it for the day. And we look
Okay.
forward to, you know,
Next session. Yeah.
in the next.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
so
Okay.
much.
Thank you. Good night. Good night. Have a
good night.
nice
Good